Good evening. I'm going to talk about yesterday's True Blood episode, Season 5, Episode 10, Gone, Gone, Gone. So, all the factories are indeed gone of True Blood, and we knew this was going to happen, so the world is freaking out. What will the vampires do? Who knows? So, Suki is at home. This episode started off really weird because, first of all, it didn't address what happened to Emma at all. It does kind of later, but in a weird way. It's like, well, why are they hanging around doing the same old thing? Like, why aren't they out looking for Emma? And then suddenly they are. It was very strange. So, anyway, Suki's at home, and Mike the coroner comes by, and he's been turned into a vampire. She lets him in thinking he's not a vampire. He starts biting her, and then she takes chopsticks from the meal she's about to have and kills him. So it kind of gives us a look at that. People are being turned into vampires quite rapidly, and that comes up again when Tara and Pam talk to the chief, the new dude for the Territory 5, and he says, "Yeah, well, our job is to create 30 more new vampires before the end of the month or something like that." So I think that's what that was about. It's kind of random and strange. So we see Molly at the authority with an eye stake on because she helped Eric almost escape. And she tells them off and then gets staked by her own device that she created. So, irony. Russell, we finally see, basically flips everybody off and says, "I'm done. I want to go out. You people don't have any control out of me for me." And we've been waiting for that to happen for quite a while because Russell's been way too tame, but he's on loose now. Hoyt's storyline was kind of weird. Hoyt decided that he was telling his mother in the truck that they were going to go to Alaska, and he wanted to forget about Jason and Jessica. And then in Merlotte's, Jessica he asked Jessica to glamour him and make him forget Jason and her, and it was quite a sad scene because they didn't want him to do that, and then they did. And Jessica went home and she was all sad because now Hoyt doesn't remember her. And Jason used his cop car later to pull Hoyt over and beg him to stay, even though Hoyt didn't know who he was. So Hoyt is now gone from the show. I can't say I'm too sad because there wasn't much to do with that character ever since he split with Jessica and got mad at Jason and Jessica. His whole point in the book is to be Jason's friend, and if he's not going to be friends with Jason, then there's really no point in him existing. So, back to Sookie. Andy helps clean up Mike the coroner. Not much happens there. Uh, Bill goes in, and I thought he was going to test Lilith's blood because he took like a little smidgen of Lilith's blood out of the blood case, and he makes Eric and Nora drink it, kind of to make them uh, I know, be one with Lilith. And so they start seeing visions, but who they see is Godric. And he's telling them, no, you shouldn't believe in Lilith. And then Lilith shows up, and I don't know how this can even happen, but she killed the ghost of Godric. How do you kill a ghost? I'm not too sure how that, but blood spurted, even though ghosts shouldn't have blood, and she was covered in his blood just like she was in the crazy New Orleans V trip. So then suddenly Eric and Nora, or Eric in particular, sways to Lilith's side because he's seen her kill his own maker. So he feels that I don't know if it's real or not, but he's like bows down before Russell and kisses Russell's hand and basically swears allegiance to everybody. So Eric doesn't get staked, which is good because he's too cute to stake. Um, Russell and Steve go on a little, they're dancing to Katy Perry at a fraternity where they've just annihilated the entire place. Steve spent a lot of time on TV trying to convince the human world that vampires weren't doing anything bad. Lies, all lies. At the beginning, Sam at Merlot, Sam pulls a gun on somebody who's going to try to kill Jessica, and Lafayette also pulls out a even bigger gun, and they leave, and that's when Jessica and Jason Hoyt have their discussion. Um, Not much happened. That's why I'm going through my notes trying to find good stuff. Jason and Sookie. Oh yeah, they looked under Gran's bed again. Because Jason's like, geez, you only like looked in the box. Well, let's look underneath the bed. And of course, there's this floorboard, and well, none of this happens in the book, so I have no idea. I actually expected them to find an object from the book because the fairies left behind a cluvial door, which is ancient fairy artifact shaped like an eyeglass or an eyeshadow compact, and basically it grants a wish to the person who owns it. And it was given to her gran a long time ago. I was kind of hoping that they'd open the floorboard and find that, but it didn't really go with the story. But what they did find was a scroll that I'd never seen before or heard of in the books, and it's all written in ancient fairy. I figured when they pulled it out, it was either some ancient vampire or ancient fairy language. Her and Jason first took it to a linguist professor, and he said it's not human language, it's not English of any kind, not no world dialect. And so then they went to Claude and Claudette and all those guys, and they got it. Well, Morella came out, and as we know, Morella is the fairy that is having relations with Andy. And surprise, surprise, Morella's pregnant. So whose baby is that? Andy's. Andy apparently is going to have a half fairy baby, which he knows nothing about. Interesting. So Morella's like 500 years old, and she uses her magic to um, figure out to add the code to make the code work because it's in some kind of ancient fairy dialect. I'll get to that a little bit later because I can't remember what happened, and I have to get to my notes. I'm pretty lame tonight. Sorry, a little bit out of sorts, I guess. Anyway, let's back to Sam. Finally, like I'm sitting here the whole episode going, okay, so why is Sam working in Merlot's? Why isn't he with Luna? Where the heck is Emma? What is going on? And they finally address it. Uh, Steve, Sam and Luna finally get together and see Steve on TV, so they know where he's going to be at 8 o'clock. And they get there, they flew apparently, that was kind of alluded to. And then they turned into mice, broke into Steve's office kind of, and then ended up in his satchel. So he took them, because Emma wasn't at the TV studio. Then he took them to, unknowingly, to the authority, where they came out and scurried across the floor. And you see, basically, Russell has Emma at one point where he's just holding her, and then she's taken away to her little cell. And then Steve is seen yelling at Emma because she changed from a dog into a person, and the humans or the vampires taking care of her were not too happy about that. They were kind of freaking out, and Steve like yells at Emma about changing into a little girl, and she runs back, and she wants to go home and be with her parents, and he gives her some lie that they don't want her, and yet Sam and Luna are running around as mice in the authorities, so they are now part of that storyline, which should be interesting. There was no werewolves tonight at all, so they kind of skipped where Luna and Steve, Luna, Steve, Luna and Sam find out about Emma. It was just kind of weird, like left there, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, let's go find Emma. Like more than halfway through the episode. Okay, I already mentioned that part. Yeah. Oh, Lafayette cooked Holly and Andy a romantic dinner at Marlotte's. That was a very small plot that had nothing to do with anything. Uh, Oh yeah, when Jessica went back to be sad about Hoyt, Bill sent people from the authority to come get her, and she was not impressed. She did not want to go to the authority. And then when she got there, Bill was like all biblically and telling her about Lilith, and then taking her around, and she looked like, "What is wrong with you? What is going on?" That's what everyone else is saying. What the heck, Bill? Stop loving Lilith. This is driving me crazy. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I said that. I didn't write these notes in a very good order. Authority. Oh yeah, Russell at the end was like, I'm 3,000 years old. I'm getting out of here. You can't tell me what to do. Do whatever I want. Because he's like, if we suck the vampire or the fairy blood, we can be daywalkers. And Salome's like, daywalking is forbidden. You cannot do that, Russell. He's like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm totally out of here. 3,000 years old. Yeah, go Russell. Russell never listens to anybody. He can do whatever he wants. So apparently, okay, this at the end made no sense to me. So the scroll is a pact between Worlo the vampire and John Stackhouse from 1702 that says that the Stackhouses will agree to give Worlo their first female fairy child. What? First of all, John Stackhouse, the fairies didn't enter the Stackhouse realm of being until Gran, which wasn't 1702, it would have been early 1900s at the earliest. Um, why would John Stackhouse sign this stupid scroll? Why would he know about um, fairies? It made no sense to me. Like, and why would he sign it to give away? Well, Suki is apparently the first female. She is not the first female child, actually. In the book, she is the second. Linda is the first. That's her aunt. She's half fairy. Apparently, we're blowing the book right out of the water because this makes no sense. How on earth could Suki be the first fairy child, female fairy child from 1709, and she's not full fairy? And Jason is an eighth fairy too. Like, what is this forgetting that people are half and quarter fairy? This is ticking me off actually because there was no John Stackhouse, there was no Worlo. This is all being made up. It makes me so mad because nothing like the book, and there's such good plot lines in the book that now the writers won't get to use those because they've made this weird Worlo story going on, and all the sweet fairy Civil War stuff will never happen because they've wrecked it. I'm sorry, I'm really peeved, whatever word I feel like making up about my anger tonight. Um, I just thought that was ridiculous. So now apparently Worlo is owed the first female child, and that's why he was drawn to the blood. Whatever. And what did John Stackhouse do to sign this stupid Rumpelstiltskin agreement? Because that's what it is. It's Rumpelstiltskin in fairy world. You know, like the firstborn child, spin your wheat straw into gold. Okay? What? Anyway, let's wrap this up. The fairy story is no longer my favorite. Eric needs to bust a move in the authority, not believe in Lilith. Lilith is some kind of demon. We know that. It's gotta be bad. And Russell, I think, will be the savior of it all because he's crazy and doesn't really believe any of this stuff. He just does what he wants, when he wants, where he wants. He's like, I can't say the word Lilith. Who cares about Lilith? All right, till next Sunday when I find out all this fairy nonsense that's happening. Till then.